Hello, my name is Brian Linden and I come from Chicago. I've been working with China, interacting with China for almost 37 years. I came to China because of a scholarship offered to me by the CPC. In 1983, many people did not think about coming to China. You can imagine, I was a student, I was a carpet cleaner from Chicago who suddenly was given opportunities that I really didn't deserve. China opened up so much to me, and I vowed at that time that somehow I would always make China an important part of my life. I arrived in China in 1984 at the end of August, and the second day I was here, I was asked to star in a Chinese movie. I moved to the film studio and filmed for 4 months. Afterwards, I moved on to CBS News. After these early experiences, Stanford University gave me a scholarship to study my PhD. I became one of the first students to get that scholarship who came from a community college. Stanford didn't want me because I was a good carpet cleaner. Stanford wanted me because of the opportunities I had in China. So after 14 years of working in education investment around the world, I convinced my wife to leave our jobs, to give up our careers in America, to sell our house, and to take our 2 boys who were 5 and 8 at the time to return to China. This was in 2003. We didn't really know what we wanted to do. I did know that somehow we wanted to create a platform that would help share the changes, these miraculous, not just economic changes, but cultural changes that were occurring in China at the time. We started to travel. We spent the first 2 years going from small village to small village, looking for an old building that was large enough that we could create almost an intellectual kind of adult college that would allow people from around the world to go to a small rural area and touch a little bit of China's 5,000-year-old history in rural Yunnan. Everywhere we went, we were welcomed with open arms. The government would take us out and show us different sites. We had no idea how to proceed with our project, but they seemed to be taking our passion for China and leading us in a direction that made our business model feasible. We decided to settle down in Yunnan, and our first few sites are based in very important historic buildings. These buildings, we invested all our time, all our energy, our money to restore. We felt that China's cultural traditions could naturally seduce the outside world, and we did not need to change them. We only needed to facilitate and incorporate some comforts to let the world come and see the culture of maybe 4,970 years and not just the last 30 years of China's development. Our first site floats among 500 acres of fields. Those fields in the summer grow rice, and in the winter they usually grow rapeseed, canola. The government, after we set up our project, felt that maybe we would be interested in seeing more development in those fields. They were very proud, and they came to us with plans. They said we would like to maybe build a few more courtyards out here, and we could build some restaurants, and we could build some cultural centers. And I interacted with them. This was in 2011, and I told them that I felt this land was very important to the identity of our small village of Xizhou. And I said that maybe it was better for us to think of ways of preserving the land and using it as well to demonstrate China's commitment to agriculture. They agreed. They put off plans for development, and that land until this day still remains and is increasingly moving toward certifiably organic agriculture because we use no chemical fertilizers. That land is now become one of Dali's. Throughout this period, I made many friends with the CPC officials. Many of them invite me to go out on weekends to the rural areas. I was unaware that many of these officials on the weekends have to go out to some of the poorest areas of under their jurisdiction and go out and interact with the people. They would sit down and they knew the names of many of the people in these small rural areas. Many of these villages were pretty impoverished at the time. And they would sit down with the families, they would eat with the families. And I saw a care, I saw a passion, I saw a desire to affect change that I feel too often many people don't really acknowledge outside of China. What I felt is that in some way, I did not just need to share the old China with the outside world, but I had to share this new spirit with the outside world. During those days in the 1980s, having seen China and visiting almost all the areas, I saw how really impoverished some of the rural areas were. And it's recently living in places like Yunnan, and especially going up into the mountainous areas and the rural areas, that I see the investment that the CPC is making in improving the lives of the local people. For example, in Dali, we have seen such improvement in our transportation. In 1985, when I visited Dali, it took me 10 hours to go by bus from Kunming to Dali on very dangerous roads. Now it takes 2 hours on a high-speed rail. Throughout the region of Dali, the government has invested in septic systems, in water filtration plants. The lake itself, the issues that were involved in terms of pollution and environmental issues with lake are being addressed very, very aggressively throughout the last 5 years. The government is protecting the land above and in Changshan and making sure that will stay pristine for future generations. So for me, the CPC really means a holistic system. It's a system of many dedicated people, many of whom are my friends and colleagues, who are trying very hard to improve the conditions of everyone around them. That to me is the spirit of the CPC. And that to me is why I still am here in China and a proud member of this country. Thank you.